Greetings, fellow mages, Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to the very first episode of a new Let's Play tutorial series playing Mind Over Magic. If you would like to skip the game's overview or the settings for this series, please use YouTube chapters. For those that do not know, Mind Over Magic is a game where you design, build, and manage your magic school to fend off the encroaching fog and explore the dungeons below. Study lost arcana, grow exotic plants, brew potions, and raise undead servants. Only you can prepare your fragile students to harness their mind over magic. The game feels like what you would get if you crossed Hogwarts with oxygen not included. It is published by Klee, but it is developed by Sparky Pants. In this specific series, if you are wondering, I will be doing a mix of tutorial and let's play on the hardest difficulty, where I exploring the core game mechanics, and it will be Relentless Darkness Descends difficulty with randomized keywords. If you don't know what that means, don't worry, I'm about to tell you. And then the teachers in the schools will be raffled off to live chatting subscribers. So there are different difficulty levels. And one of the main game mechanics is that your school exists in a land surrounded by fog that is constantly encroaching, and if it reaches you, you lose. And this is more or less how quickly the fog encroaches, and I'm going to be playing on Relentless mode. And this is also the ramp for like events and things. Then this is the battle difficulty. And I am going to be on Darkness Descends. So I will have fewer starting staff. Enemies will be tankier and do a lot more damage. Mages don't get like a mood boost. And new students will, their moods will tank. And then randomized keywords for room types. And I will explain what randomized keywords is in a bit. It doesn't become relevant immediately. Okay. Once a school stood here. In my hubris, I believed we could stand against the fog, rebuild the school and train brilliant new mages, brave the horrors of the underschool. With quick wits and resilience, maybe you can survive. Though my body is long gone, my spirit will serve you faithfully. So you start with 2 teachers. And it's very important on the hardest difficulty to get something meta. I like to go with lightning and earth teachers. And what we're looking for is we have HP, mana, power, which is like extra damage when spellcasting, speed, which determines the turn order that a caster will cast. And then you will also have 2 medallions, and these medallions can give bonuses. So this medallion, for instance, makes the mage happier when they haul. This medallion gives them a little speed, power, and HP. Actually, here, let me just force it to be lightning. That would be a lot easier. Power, speed, nature. And for lightning, I'm mostly concerned with, like, high power. Okay, this one will do. Perfect. 2 wolfkin. And in we go. So, right at the start, I'm going to be reading all of the tutorials here. I have played about 100 hours already, so I don't need them, but... Repel fog. A destructive, malevolent miasma. The fog surrounds the school and draws closer each nightfall. Objects covered by the fog are inaccessible to mages and may be broken or destroyed. Pushing the fog out further will reveal new resources and to use and dangers to avoid. To force the fog to retreat, perform a repel fog ritual or greater repel fog ritual at the mana front. So, right at the start, I'm going to have Cathanon repel the starting fog. And in this facility, this is part of the underschool. We have a student summoner that you use to summon in new students. A book of rituals, which you don't actually directly interact with. It just lists all the rituals you have available to you. And soon we will have an overschool, above ground. But right now we're below ground. Okay, so the fog will consume the school tomorrow. we lose tomorrow. You are going to be shield. So let's explain the controls. WASD, mouse wheel to zoom in and out and scroll around. At the top left will be the tutorial feed where they'll bounce. Spacebar is pause, Q and E is slower and faster. And then collecting resources. So I'll just explain this myself. There initially are trees and stones to collect, which will help us to construct what we need to start. So this is the foundation, this wooden structure here, and this is where we can build our school. And this is our underschool. And then below are dungeons that become dangerous. So right at the start, I want to change priorities. Locke is good at mining because he has earth skill. And then Cathanon and Shield are going to be cutting down trees. So those are the raw resources we want. The first thing we're going to work towards is, and let me update the priority here, summon a first student. And the reason is, down here, as you can see, the superior repel fog, which allows you to push the fog back further than the regular one, requires a student. So this ritual here can take 2 staff, 2 faculty, and then 1 student. And we definitely want to push the fog back as far as we can. So in order to do that, we need to build a few things. One, I need some cots for people to sleep on. I need a wand shaper to be able to craft a wand for them to use. And then we'll summon in the student, and then I need the materials to be able to repel the fog. And as you can see up here, the game is telling me that the fog is dangerously close. About construction. So I'll explain this one myself. Much like Oxygen Not Included, you build walls out of stone, floors out of wood and stone, and as I gain more materials, you'll see me start to construct. But at the moment, I'm more concerned with getting the bare necessities up to be able to survive. So Locke and Cathanon are wolfkin, meaning that they have recreation needs, sleep needs, hunger needs. They have a finite amount of mana, which can be refilled at the mana front. They have their own conviction or moods and mental breaks if it drops too far. But Shield is essentially a ghost. So Shield has 1 skill, level 1 skills across the board, but never needs sleep, never needs food, and can phase through terrain, as you can see. So is a pretty solid hauler and cleaner, and anything that you need someone to phase through walls for. So let's get a wand crafting going, and for that we'll need sinew. So I can also directly control them by clicking on them and then right-clicking on their targets. So I have Cathanon hunting these 2 rats. Oops, I held left shift, which queued it up. Because we need sinew from the rats in order to build the wand crafter. Can Shield get better? No. But Shield is a very strong character, given that they aren't bound by physics. But they're also immortal. They're very likely to be the longest serving faculty of our teachers, because the starting teachers that you have are not gifted and they're level 1, and you, as part of the game mechanics, train students that are better than the teachers and then hire the students to replace the teachers. Not always, but that is a common game mechanic. So, we have got a wand shaper here. I'm having Shield deliver the materials for the cots. And assembling the cots is a priority called assembly, or assemble. So now Shield is going to be delivering the materials for the wand shaper. Locke ran out of mana, so he's going back to the mana front to refill. And Cathanon is continuing to cut down trees. Chaos Steiner, thank you for the resub. And Wasteland Puppy, thank you for the resub too. So Shield is grabbing the materials for the wand shaper. And then the other thing I want to build is an arcane secretary, which is a research station. So Shield has just delivered all that is needed to make the wand shaper, and I'm going to pull Locke down here and have him actually build it, because the Locke and Cathanon would have to walk to deliver goods. Shield can do it a lot faster because he can just go up and down through the ground. So he's much, much more suited to deliver materials than they are. So we're starting to assemble the wand shaper. And at least for now, at the start of the game, I'm going to pick the spells and magic that I summon. But eventually I'm going to have the opportunity to have you all have a lot more input. Alright, so at this point, all but like 2 trees are cut down. So, Cathanon, I'm going to have you harvest. So in order to do the superior repel fog, we need 75 wood, and I have collected 100. And we need 9 gut berries, and I have 0 of those. So Cathanon now is going to be collecting gut berries for the ritual. Alright, we're also getting cots made. And I will eventually want to cut down these trees as well. Really any trees available. Now, does anyone... Yeah, Cathanon makes wands better than other people due to having a nature skill of level 2. So all of the abilities here are linked to specific schools of magic. So, for instance, Cathanon, if we take a look at Magic in Combat tab, has a lightning of 3. So, charge, scriven. Scriven is like scroll writing. And research will be fastest for him. And then nature of 2 and water of 2. So, nature is harvest, tend, chop down trees and crafting wands. And water is alchemy and cleaning. And then likewise, Locke has dark magic and fire. So they have very complementary skills. So the first 2 wands I want to make are going to be 2 water wands. Water is a really nice school of magic for backliners in combat, whereas Earth is a really good frontliner magic school. So Cathanon, I'm going to have you start to make wands. And Locke, I'm going to have you assemble the rest of the furniture here. Where do they store resources? We don't have that unlocked yet. Almost everything that we need is locked behind research. But as soon as we get the Arcane Secretary, we will unlock research. So here, Cathanon is crafting the first water wand. And then we will use it to summon a student. Locke is building the cots and arcane secretary. And I have Shield here gathering more gut berries for the ritual. So up here, as you can see, we have 8 of the 9 gut berries we need for the ritual. So Cathanon has already gotten one of the wands made. And I have used just about every natural resource that exists here. Alright, I am going to, with Cathanon, summon a student. So, in order to summon a student, we bring a faculty in and select the wand type. He goes over, fetches the wand, goes up to the student summoner, and summons in a student. I want to get the ritual to push back the fog going ASAP. Because what ends up happening is if this fog encroaches, not only do we lose, but all the things that the fog touches will get destroyed as well. So we did just get research unlocked, and I am going to select storage. Put stuff here. Unlocks chests and tiny chests. The other options is to domesticate gutberry plants, to be able to cook, hospital beds, and graves when you die. So here is the student summoner. And the first student is Alexandra. So here is how having students works. Your students come with trials and medallions. So as you teach students, this student needs to be taught 3 levels of water, 2 levels of air, 2 levels of lightning, and then 1 level for everything else. Once they're fully taught, you can either graduate them, gaining scrolls, or you can hire them, which requires scrolls. Also, in the time it takes you to teach them, they will have special conditions that, if met, makes them stronger. So for Alexandra, if she dances in a room all by herself, she gains 50 extra HP. Pretty strong. If she overcomes the burrow lava, she gains 10 speed. If she casts 33 times in a classroom, she will have a level of learning, which will allow her to teach faster. She'll gain conviction. Her mood will improve when she teaches. But one of the reasons to bring her in is I can now do the superior repel fog so that I am not crushed to death by nightfall. So now I'm doing the superior repel fog so that we can survive. So in order to... what I like to do is to try to... like, let's say I want a water faculty on staff. I'll summon in a whole bunch of students and then just, like, pick favorites. The one that has the best boosted stats is usually the one I go with. At this point, for us to summon in a new... or craft a new wand, we are going to need additional gut berries. Because all the gut berries we had are being used in this ritual. So, Shield is going over to get more gut berries for another wand. And then also, at some point, I should get a learning stone made so that we can actually teach this this student. Or students, because I'm about to have 2. So all the materials have been collected. This ritual takes 1 hour. It'll be nightfall in about 3-4 hours. So, close. Cut it pretty close. The magic element is a primary characteristic, yes. So, for Alexandra, for instance, she has a little bit of extra air, making her decent at assembling and hauling, and a little bit extra lightning, making her decent at research, but all of her spells are going to be water-based spells. You fight with your primary school, and any secondary schools just add to your work ability, essentially. So this is done in just a few minutes, and you'll see the fog thrown back as a result, revealing additional terrain, additional trees. So for instance, these bristlegrown trees yield 35 to 40 wood, whereas these yield 25 to 30 wood, but they take the same effort to cut down. Then it reveals some honey drop bushes and some crow nests. It doesn't matter what they are. What matters is that the resources that are revealed, the further you push back the fog, the more exotic the resources, and those resources are required for, like, the end game. So, a lock. Let's go ahead and have you start to construct. I like walls that are 8 high as a personal choice. So I'm putting walls, doors, and a roof over this learning stone. Because there is weather, and your stuff will get destroyed if it rains. So you want to protect what you have. All right. Shield just finished up making the second wand, and I will be summoning in a student for it soon. Now, what's happening here is that they built a wall, but they don't have the resources for a door yet. And I'm having Shield deliver the wood for the door so that these guys aren't stuck out here. Alright, so Kathleen is stuck with no mana. So what I'm doing, neither of them have mana. They ran out of mana. So Shield, given that he's a ghost, has infinite mana, and he can construct these, construct this door, allowing them back inside. There's one of the 2 doors that need to be built. Rogadog, thank you for the resub. And now they'll be able to refill their mana and keep working. So we have 2 days until the fog attacks. And I'm going to have Shield summon the next student. So he's going to go grab the second water wand and bring in a second student. So now we have, you know, the fog every night, we just hit nightfall, advances. Abixable, thank you for the resub too. So Cathanon, I'm going to have you focus on research. And we have a second student now, Blythe, another wolfkin. So, Blythe, if they eat in a mess hall, common room, or house commons, they gain extra HP. They also want to kill the burrower lava, and they also want to cast in a classroom. The burrower lava is not something that we're going to be able to overcome anytime soon, so these two students are not going to fulfill their Spirit Conqueror trials. Meaning that these are students that maybe we don't keep. So, learn about classes. The school offers a beacon of hope to magically gifted students. To make good on this promise, staff need to teach classes. So, they need a learning stone, and then we need to schedule both faculty and students to learn at that learning stone, which is this thing here. So we're getting a basic structure up around the learning stone that we're placing down. And Cathanon is over here at the Arcane Secretary researching chests so that we can put things away. Shield is getting more wood over here. And Locke is collecting things to construct the roof over the starting structure. And now they're all asleep. Because here is the schedule. Students and staff, other than Shield the Ghost, requires sleep, food. I could schedule recreation, but we don't have any recreation items. And classes. And what I'm going to do is keep the default schedule for now, and then fine-tune and tinker with it as we progress. So I'll have Shield try to build the learning stone while everyone else is asleep. Can mages walk into the fog? Or walk to the fog? No, the fog is an impassable barrier. There is a mental break where they will have a mental break and go into the fog. Not a good one. That's a bad mental break. What is a good mental break? Maybe like pigging out on food. Is a reason why you wouldn't want all your staffs and students to be ghosts? You'd lose. Ghosts can't fight. And a huge part of this game is that you have to defend yourself in combat. So if everyone's a ghost, you're dead. Alright, let's have you finish the construction, Shield. Does it help to have a teacher that knows water teaching water students? Yes, it does. So Cathanon has more water skill than Locke or Shield, so Cathanon would be a better teacher for the water students. Also, I'm going to be trying to answer questions that are relevant to what I'm doing, not relevant to the gameplay as it might be 20 hours from now or 50 hours from now. As this is a tutorial, it doesn't make sense for me to answer questions way ahead of where I currently am at. As it will just be confusing for everyone. Alright, learn about summoning students. Already did that. Learn about crafting. Already did that with the wands. And learn about conviction. So conviction is mood. And we see here that, like, Kathleen and Locke are craving recreation because I don't have any recreation items. They're highly stable. So what this means is skilled mages will have mood penalties. Unskilled mages will not. The more attuned you are to magic, the worse off you are, mood-wise. Feeling unstable is a result of the fog being close. And then 8 outside the dining area, you know, that age-old war crime of 8 without a table. All right, we have a basic classroom. So I'm going to talk a little bit about rooms for a moment. So the basic classroom is just a room with a learning stone. Easy enough, but it must not have any beds, dining tables, medical beds, etc., crafting, etc. It just has to be for learning. There's a bunch of different types of classrooms. The ones that you'll use the most is basic and intermediate. Anything beyond basic and intermediate or advanced, anything beyond that is specialty schools, which come much, much later. There are bedrooms, dining rooms, workshops, rec rooms, medical rooms, ritual rooms. That's mostly for hiring and firing, hiring and retiring faculty and graduating students. But there are randomized keywords. So let's talk about keywords for a moment. Or actually, let me look at, yeah, I basically covered all that. So this classroom right here is grounded, towered, and lofted. Grounded means it's built on the ground floor. Towered means that it does not have buildings adjacent to it or above it. Below doesn't matter. And then lofted means that the walls are higher than the floor is wide. It's taller than it is wide. Different buildings require different keywords. So for instance, if I look at a conservatory, the conservatory, which is where faculty go to recreate, and students can as well, requires lofted and skewed. Skewed means that it is something like this, where one side is higher than the other. It's slanted by a factor of 3. It needs to be 3 blocks higher on one side than the other. These keywords here are randomized. I, in my difficulty, have randomized keywords for room types. So some rooms are not randomized. For instance, ritual rooms are not randomized. Great halls, auditoriums, and assembly halls are always the same in every playthrough. They don't have keywords. Same with some others, like the woodcuttery also doesn't have keywords that random, but a lot of them do. So for instance, a scullery, for me, needs to be elevated. Elevated means it must not have foundation or room below it. But if I played a different game, my scullery might have grounded, or it might have lofted. It's a totally random keyword that changes every time, meaning that the ideal setup or build will constantly change because your keywords will change. So right now, we now have a starting classroom, and I will talk about a few other factors. One is light. When a room is in the dark, it will spawn something called a void shroom. And void shrooms are mushrooms that are useful kind of in late game crafting, but early game, all they do is they leech your mana, running your mages out of mana. So if your rooms aren't lit, they will spawn mushrooms that will drain you for mana, and then your mages will have to constantly go back to a mana front or a mana lantern. They'll basically constantly have to refill their mana. It's obnoxious. So you should illuminate your rooms. The color does not matter. I use red wall torches because they're easier on the eyes. The next is filth. Certain things like alchemy or cooking or refining materials produce a lot of filth. And if a room gets too filthy, it will spawn oozes, and oozes won't hurt your mages, but they will destroy everything in the room. They will start smashing everything. Structures, that is. Then there's clutter. When there's too much clutter in a room, meaning stuff on the ground that hasn't been hauled or cleaned up into boxes, a gremlin will spawn. And gremlins are similar to oozes in that they won't attack your mages, but they will destroy everything that's in the room. So if you have a room full of rare items that are all cluttered on the ground and it spawns a gremlin, well, all of a sudden you've just lost all your rare items that were on the ground because the gremlin destroyed them. And the messier a room, the filthier a room, and the darker a room, the faster those effects happen, as you can see over there. So if it's just a little messy, it will spawn every 24 hours. If it's super messy, it will spawn every 6 hours. Same with the darkness, and same with the filth. So if we take a look at the schedule here, we're about to have our first class. So I'm going to have in priority here, Cathanon be the teacher. So a very high priority for Cathanon to teach, because he has a bonus to water schools. So it will be ideal. The other thing is that tonight, everything beyond this shadow line here will be consumed by fog. Meaning that any resources, and T is tilt, any resources left out here will be lost to us. So if I don't haul this wood, it goes poof. So what I want to do is then have Locke research how to make storage chests, because I don't want to lose anything if I can help it. Because alternatively, we could do another superior repel fog, which is probably actually a better solution, because it's going to be hard to haul everything away in time. So I'm going to have Locke cut down some trees, even though he's not great at it, in order to try to keep the fog at bay. Is there a limit to how many times you can repel the fog? So repelling the fog requires resources, and depending on how far the fog is from your school, the spell becomes more expensive. But you can only repel the fog up until 2 weeks, I think. 14 days, I think, is max, if I recall correctly. Thank you for tuning in to Mind Over Magic, which originally streamed live on Twitch March 19th. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you would like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you would like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching, and a special thank you to my Patreon patrons, Twitch subscribers, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you in next episode or upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow mages.